What's LTV? It's another one of those real estate lingos. And what the heck does it mean? I'm going to tell you, but then stick around because I also need to explain it to you. LTV stands for loan to value ratio. And if you remember those PTSD flashbacks from high school, ratio is math, but I want to break it down and make sure that you understand it's totally and completely simple. So before you get into a panic, take a breath. Let me explain to you in plain words what LTV means, and then we'll go on to the board and I'll show you a quick little way to figure it out. Loan to value ratio means the amount of loan in relation to the value of the property. So if you're buying a $100,000 property and you're borrowing $80,000, you're borrowing $80,000, that's the loan amount in relation to the value of the property, which is $100,000. So it's 80,000 divided by 100,000 equals a loan to value ratio of 80, or the way we say it is an 80 LTV. What this is used for is the bank, the lender. They are the ones that care about LTV because they have limits on what percentage of the value of the property they're going to loan you on. Anything higher than what they're comfortable with, they get really, really nervous because banks are conservative and they want to protect their investment and make sure they don't loan you more than they could possibly recapture if in case the borrower stops paying and they have to file a foreclosure. So generally, banks are comfortable at an 80 LTV, meaning they're not going to loan you more than 80% of the value of the property. So let's go over to the board and take a look at the math. I don't even want to call it math. Let's call it arithmetic because it's really, really simple. LTV equals loan to value, or loan, it's a ratio. So we're going to take the loan amount, which in our example is $80,000, divided by the value, $100,000 equals 80. So if you were to plug this into your calculator, it would be 80,000 divided by 100,000, and you will get 0.8. 0.8 is the same as 80%. 80% is an 80 LTV. Now let's do an example this way. Let's say the purchase price is $100,000 and the lender says they will do a 90 LTV. The question is, how much is the loan amount? Yeah, forgive my writing. So the way that we work it here is we take the purchase price, which is $100,000, and we multiply it by 90%, which is 0.9, because that's the maximum LTV that the lender will do, and that gives us $90,000. That is the maximum loan amount based on a 90 LTV. You've just done simple math to figure out the arithmetic behind figuring out the LTV. It's really pretty easy. And you can do tons of these practice tests in our study pack. But before you get into the arithmetic, make sure that you understand the concept, because if you're a formula person and you can just remember the formula, great, good for you. But if you're somebody like me who needs to understand the meaning behind it, the concept, the idea behind it, in order to remember how to calculate those numbers, then I want you to remember what loan to value ratio is. It is simply the way that we look at the amount of the loan in relation to the purchase price or the appraised value, whichever is lower. And we say, what percentage of the value are we loaning? And in the 80 LTV example, it's 80. In the 90 LTV example, it's 90. And if you want to play with this, once you get comfortable, use numbers other than 100,000. Try it with different math problems so that you can make sure you understand the concept. Here's the test tack. This is what I want you to remember. Math and arithmetic is super important in your job. However, it's not vital to your job. It makes it easier to run your business if you understand these numbers, and I absolutely want you to learn them. However, what I don't want you to do is think that you're bad at math and give up on the test. because in most states, you could probably get all of the math questions wrong and still pass the test. And that's not ideal. I want you to learn the math. But for those people who really, really get tripped up and petrified by numbers, here's your test taking hack. Practice them, but all the time that you're practicing them, say, this is so I can be a better salesperson. This is so I can understand numbers. This is so I can make more money, but I don't need to know this to pass the test. That will help take the pressure off so that you can just allow this information to filter its way into your brain so that you understand it. And whenever you find yourself getting stressed out, take a breath and move on to something else. Because I promise you, if you get the other questions right and math is not your forte, you can still pass the exam and you can still become a very successful salesperson without knowing all of this math. Maybe an unpopular opinion amongst other instructors, but I'm here to help you pass the test. So I don't really care what other people think. If you need more help, grab our study pack. It's got flashcards, it's got practice tests, it's got math questions, and we've got videos and audios, and we're always adding more. And no matter what, breathe and know there are plenty of people in real estate who don't know the first thing about math, and they're doing just fine. And you can too. I'll see you in the next video.